I was about 20, 21 years old when I found out that I was pregnant with my second child. I contemplate that so bad if I wanted to have another baby. I talked to my grandmother. I prayed to God. So to make this long story and decision over, I end up having a 7-pound, 1-ounce baby boy named Terrell Carter that was born on February 3rd, 1990. Terrell growing up, he was like the life of the party. Name it, Terrell did it. Everyone says, boys are 100% boys. No, not Terrell. Terrell was 2,000% boy. If he found trouble, he got into it. Otherwise, he was a really good kid. People used to tell me, he's very polite, he's this, so he wasn't all bad. But believe me, he was that daredevil little boy growing up that just stayed in trouble a lot. Terrell in school, he was like the life of the party as well as he was at home. In the very beginning of school, Terrell stayed in a lot of trouble. Teachers used to call me all the time. And I used to think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this boy? Then as he got older, he just became more silly, in a sense. In a good part of silly, he got a lot of friends. It was like you belonged to Terrell's clique. There was no sports clique, no bad or good clique. If you was friends with Terrell, you was in his clique. And Terrell ended up graduating from high school as the class clown. Go figure. Because that's exactly how he was. Always silly, always telling jokes, just being the life of the party. And he just had a good spirit to where people just loved Terrell. I would say ever since 8 years old, Terrell has been a part of somebody's sports until he graduated from high school. 8 years old, he started playing football. Then he went to basketball. Then there was a couple years he did baseball. But he only did baseball for a couple years. By his second year, there was a moment where Terrell got hit in the mouth by a fastball, and that was it. That was the end of baseball career for him. Then basketball, he really did not. He did basketball, but he wasn't really into it like he was football. Football, I honestly thought when Terrell graduated from high school, when he went to college, he was going to really play ball because he was a football star. He played quarterback, running back, name it, every position Terrell played it. So he was a really good sports person. Terrell, when he became, I would say about 15, 16 years old, whatever issues that I had with him when he was a younger kid, to me, those were little kid stuff. Those were things that, as a little boy, he did. But when he became 15, 16 years old, that became harder on our relationship. Terrell just got to a point where he graduated from high school. He just started hanging around the wrong group of friends, just doing all kinds of things in the streets that I, as his parent, did not approve of. Me and Terrell, we try to have conversations to where, like I told him, I can't teach you how to be a man as you're becoming a man. All I can do is teach you how to be a respectable person as you're trying to become a man. So I tried to do things for him that I thought was right. We bumped heads. I remember one time Terrell came home. Wasn't a very good moment. Him and his brother got into it. And I really did. I didn't know what else to do to Terrell when we had our conversation. And I basically told Terrell, I can't do this no more. I really can't do this anymore. You're going to have to do what you need to do, because a part of me was falling out of love with my son that I cherish forever. And I always thought that I was a bad mother And I always used to think, how can you fall out of love with your son? But I was getting to that moment where I just couldn't take it anymore. And that's where me and Terrell slowly but surely started to get our lives together.
Give up on their children, and that to me is worth well beyond trillions. A loving parent won't give up on their children, and that to me is worth well beyond trillions. All your football games, I was in attendance from early September to when the temperature got frigid. You know it had to be love. 4 years, y'all were the 4 and 6s, comforted you when you dropped the TD on 4 for inches. All your track meets, I was in the bleachers cheering you on to keep persevering. Let me not forget to mention, temperature felt like 110 as you hurdled them 110s and came in second by inches. Front and center at all your violin symphonies were spread thin from immense extracurricular activities, and the fees would get expensive. What you mean there was something missing? Since you were an infant, I worked infinite hours of overtime to make sure your back had a jacket and stomach had food in it. Yeah, I'll admit we could have been more intimate. I showed you I love, didn't know you hated not hearing it, but that's the case. I'm sorry, Trace, here it is. I love you and I hope I showed you that love gives. I didn't know that my past had lifted up the bridge. Lord, forgive my selfish thoughts of abortion. Thank you, God, for saving my kid. Out of love, you sent your son to pay for his sins. Thank you, Jesus, through your death, he can live. Thank you, Jesus, through your death, we can live.
As me and Terrell was trying to get our lives together, when we were going through his little episode trying to find himself, Terrell was also, trying to do music, whether if I approve of the lyrics or not. He really got into becoming this rapper, just really making music. So, but I really started noticing Terrell changing and becoming the man that I love who he is now. I'm going to say around 19, 20 years old. Terrell came to me and told me that he got baptized again. So I was like, okay, great. Now my son is into church. I think he, finding the path where he needs to be going. Then he come to me, and still in between all this, he's still doing his music. So in between that, he comes to me and he said, Mom, I got to, I'm certified, as a minister now. So bit by bit, as he's telling me all this, I'm finding this new love for my son. I didn't have all that, I don't want to say hatreds, but I didn't have all that animosity inside of me that I had before with him. It was like by him getting baptized, by him joining a church, by him becoming a minister, it was like he was a brand new person to where I was falling in love all over again. Like God was giving us a second chance. Because technically, that first chance almost wasn't here. So this was God's way of saying, hey, I'm going to give these two people a second chance as mother and son. So the moment that he became that man is when he came to me to tell me, hey, Mom, I met this girl in church. I really like her. I don't know how to talk to her. And it just melted all over me that he actually came to me for advice on what to do. Whether he took that advice on what I told him to say and what I told him to do, him and Deanna are now engaged to be married. And he has blossomed into this whole different person that if anybody asks me, how was Terrell in between the ages of 15 to 19, would even believe me. That is the moment that I noticed my little boy, my young adult, is now a man. Also, as I'm noticing with Terrell as he's changing and becoming this man who I love, the music with him totally changed. He still raps, he's still into his music, but it's more on a gospel level. He has he's creating web pages, he got his own little label, Rap Will Survive. For anybody who don't know about it, go check him out. He's just so overwhelming. I remember the very first time I saw Terrell do his first ministry. I melted. My heart just filled up. I mean, he did an awesome job. I mean, granted, we had our little moment before he started speaking. You know, he cried, and I cried. And then my grandmother next to me was crying. So we had the whole church crying. I couldn't even do nothing but just go up there and hold my son and tell him I didn't come here to see him cry. I came to see him minister and hear him speak. So I told him we're going to wipe these tears away and get to ministry. And when he wiped them tears away and he started to speak, I didn't know all of that was in my son. He did an awesome, perfect job. You know, when I watched Terrell with Deanna, I know when Terrell came to me and was talking to me about how he wanted to approach her, how he, what type of girl he's looking for now. You know, I always tell Terrell, you treat any woman how you want your mother, your sister, and your niece to be treated. When I watch him with Deanna, it's like he's doing exactly that. He takes care of her. He has fun with her. They're like in sync. You know, they're just two perfect little young couples together. By Deanna being older than Terrell, I think that helps simmer him down some, and plus also with him becoming this newfound man, you know, being a minister, got his music going on, you know, now he's trying to move up the corporate ladder of, you know, at Chase, and now he wants to go back to school and become this barber because he does awesome haircuts. Yes, he hooks mommy up too. So, you know, Terrell is turning in to be this man that, I mean, my heart, it just filled with so much joy and so much love with him, to where by us being the way we are, I see he pours that into with Deanna. And I just love it. You know, like I tell Deanna all the time, you know, Terrell will do just about anything. He's that character. He's going to do this. He's going to be sweet to you. He's going to have, you know, give you nice little surprises. But if anytime you feel like Terrell is stepping out of line, like I told you, you ain't even got to put your hands on him. Just call his mama. Mama take care of him. You know, but otherwise, Terrell is really good with Deanna, and I'm proud of that. How I feel about Deanna, you know, in the beginning, she was very nice, sweet young girl. And as the longer I got to know her, you know, the more and more I look at her as my own daughter. You know, people ask me, how do I feel about to have another daughter in my life? You know, it is great. You know, Deanna has been like the perfect person for Terrell. You know, I think her mother and father was molding her for my son as I was trying to mold my son and, you know, to get him ready for her. Now, granted, as a single parent, you know, I had to have help. You know, I had to get my uncles, my brothers, my dad, and God came along, and then he met Marlo to help mold my son to be the perfect person for Deanna. You know, I don't know where Deanna would be without Terrell, but they are just like the perfect match. She's good for my son. She brings the joy out of my son. She's just everything that my son needs right now. And I feel so comfortable. You know, normally the man gives away his daughter and has to be comfortable with the man he's giving his daughter to. Well, me as Terrell's mother and watching Deanna, I feel comfortable giving my son away to her. You know, now that we're here close to the wedding day, you know, it just brings tears to my eyes that my son is about to be married. And he's marrying a beautiful, loving, caring, hearted woman. You know, there's times that I go into Terrell's room and I just look around and I look at his awards. I look at his pictures that he left on the wall. I don't know, there's times I just go in there for no apparent reason. Even though I know that's my computer room now, and it's been my computer room for the last 5 years, I think with the stuff that he leaves on the wall, I go in there and I just reminisce, and I think about where he been, where we've been, where he's at now, and where he's about to go. And, you know, you can't do nothing but just wish him well, wish him and Deanna the best. You know, I have my moments where I just sit in that room and I just cry because I'm like, oh, I just cannot believe my son is about to get married. But when I think of Deanna and how he is with my son, and how they're both so into church and God, I know both of them, not just him. I know both of them will be good and okay. You know, once you get married, I want you guys to enjoy each other, have fun with each other. Now, my opinion is, don't rush to have babies. But you leave it to Patrice, she wants babies right now. But you guys do what you need to do when it comes to the baby factory. Just give me grandbabies, that's all I ask for. But otherwise, I love you both. I wish you both the best. And believe me, I'm going to be around to help Deanna. Hopefully I don't have to help her too much, because Terrell really has changed. He's changed for the best. And I think he's best for Deanna.
A walk on Grace Ocean.
Before you hit the womb, boy, all about you I knew, boy. Before the first crescent moon, I had plans for you, boy. Yeah, every step was predestined. You called it wildin' out, I call it teaching lessons. By the hand that holds the world, you're picked. So who better to trust your life with? Love turned me on like a light switch. Word pierced the cold heart. Jesus, a ice pick. To him I submit. Then my whole life switched. New clique of dogs. We ain't worried about no Mike Vicks. So now when midnight hits the hip, tell them I'm new and we don't have fellowship.
Baby, come, I'll dance with you.
Words say it's a narrow way. Force me to leave behind Broad Street ruckus. What's imperious on narrow way? Balance like Gabrielle Douglas. I started out struggling, trying to impose the cross in each and every discussion. I was so zealous, trying to convey he loves them, but to those I'm conveying it, do I love them? Yes, so I gotta be patient, which only come by tribulation. Had to face it and get purged. I remember days when I would turn my mama's living room into a Days Inn. Motel 6 in the basement. You see this transformation? That's my persuasion.
Baby, come, I'll dance with you.
Yeah, this walk gets a bed of roses from a bird's eye, beautiful, but getting to the thick of it, constantly getting pricked. I let her say I told ya so, but the blood's still flowing, light still exposing. Gotta stay focused, can't have a stale notion. Scroll stay open, gotta stay eating, can't grow by osmosis. Wake up Columbus, Romans 5 like Folgers. Free my people, trace Moses. Heartbeat of life as your hand composes. Remember what I told you, don't fear who opposes. I will never leave you, not even for a moment. Yeah, well okay, I'm going in off the high dive of faith into Grace Ocean. Keep me afloat.
Baby, come, I'll dance